I'm Terry Sacka, and this is Rigged Against You. This is a bank crisis mode update. You're going to want to see this. It will be fairly short, but it is really good information on what's going on in the marketplace. You can't get better information on what is behind the scenes and why we could see a potential stock market sell-off. This stock market sell-off could be anywhere from 25 to 50%, and the banks are forecasting it. So before I get going, please consider subscribing. This information is really good for you to make decisions for your future and let the truth set you free. So we are here. Now, think of it this way. The banks, we're a financial world. The banks in crisis mode is where we'll start to see the credit crunch, where we start to see the stock market then collapse. Understand, Europe's already in bankrupt. Germany's bankrupt. France is bankrupt. They're in deep trouble financially. They have destroyed their economies. They destroyed the gas pipelines from Russia. They now have to pay exorbitant amounts for energy. Their industries are leaving Europe. They are in deep trouble in Europe. That's why NATO is pushing so hard for the war with Russia. Trump is trying everything he can to bring peace to that situation. BlackRock already controls all the wheat and food supplies. England now controls a lot of the resources in Ukraine. That's what happens when you go to war. They're going for the resources. And Trump signed the minerals deal with Ukraine, rare earth minerals. So we achieved our goal into basically taking all the minerals and resources from Ukraine, which is a major resource-rich nation. NATO, because they're in bankrupt mode in Europe, want to push, and that's why you're seeing them keep pushing deeper for war with Russia. They want to send long-range missiles to Moscow. They're warning their people, be prepared for 1,000 casualties a day. Why would there be 1,000 casualties a day? Russia's not invading Europe. It is such a lie. Why would Russia invade Europe? It is a scare tactic to a population that is ignorant. But they're doing it because they're broke, and war allows them to take the resources from their people and redo the financial system. That's why I talked about in the last podcast that they're getting ready to, well, they did in England and they're doing it throughout Europe, digital IDs. A digital ID basically puts every single thing you do on the internet in a database. They will have a profile of you and know everything you're doing. And then it's tied to your bank account. And then they have CBDCs in Europe, where here we're doing stablecoin, meaning our money is a choice. We could use currencies. We could use stablecoins. Trump wants to give us a choice of what money we use. Central bank digital currency is government controlled. So they control your money, they control your bank account, and they control your identification. So literally, if you say something wrong, you go to jail. In England, they're arresting some crazy number, hundreds of people a day, by just saying something on the internet. They do not have free speech there. But they're doing it because they're getting ready to crack down. The enemy of the power elite are the people. If they woke up, which I have no confidence they will, that they can control the people, they can control your narrative and keep you as a slave. And so they will institute, my guess, come the beginning of the year, they will institute capital controls in Europe, forcing Europeans telling them where they can and cannot send money. They won't be able to go outside the country as much. And they're going to start taking their wealth. They're even doing double taxation in the Netherlands. They're going to take their wealth. That's what they're pushing for. And they want the war with Russia. Trump is doing everything he can to stop it. I don't know how that's going to play out, but all I know is Europe is in deep trouble and on the verge of collapse. And I think Europe could be the one that could cause the systemic collapse in the market system. The United States banks, though, they're not doing any better. So take a look at this. This is where we're at right now, on the verge of a funding crisis where the Fed's emergency liquidity facility unexpectedly soars most since COVID. I went over that on the last podcast. This is big. Now, what this basically means is the rate cut conversion just became moot point. Welcome back to the reverse constraint regime, basically meaning who's going to loan money to whom. Typically, reverse repo, it's all the same. It's the same, two sides of the same coin. In the repo, they go and borrow money or exchange securities to another bank because they have to balance their books at the end of the night. And in the reverse repo, they sell them back to the bank the next day, and then they charge them a different price on the security or an interest on the cash. But this is getting down to where it is actually going ape, and it has begun because look at this. We are at the bottom of the Fed reserves. Now it's a 2.8 trillion, but trust me, that's nothing. Look at where we were on the left. This is just the beginning of the banking system on the verge of collapse because they don't have liquidity, meaning they don't have the money they need to operate. And banks no longer trust the other banks and they're not loaning. So who's going to do it? The Federal Reserve. Here we go, where it's just basically, this is on the interest, and I'm not going to get into the details of this, but I just want you to see, this is basically the money and the interest that they're charging. Look at where we were on the left, and look at where we're at on the right, meaning the system is collapsing. These securities overnight, interest being charged, it's on a collapse mode because nobody is trusting each other. This is a big one here. This is the reverse repo facility usage versus standard repo, meaning banks willing to just loan money to another bank overnight, and then they have to give it back with a higher price on securities and or interest. But look here on the bottom right in the zoom in. Look at where the mountain was. There was plenty of liquidity. As I showed in the last podcast, we've burned through 2.6 trillion in reserves, and they have like $5 billion left. There's no money in the banking system. And when you see here on the right, that is huge. That on the right there is basically the red bar now, mind you. That is the biggest overall spike in this reverse repo scenario since the COVID crash. You can't see it on the big picture, but look at that red bar. This is the biggest since COVID. And what happened in COVID, you didn't probably hear a lot about it, but I'm here to tell you it was convenient that the virus showed up when it did because the banking system was literally collapsing and imploding. And then they were able to use COVID to generate trillions upon trillions in printed currencies all throughout the world, which then made everything move and keep moving, and why we had the market runs over the last few years. But it's gone. All of the liquidity is gone. What does that mean to you? It means they have to print money, currency, really, right? As they print currency, demand on interest rates to go lower, bring that dollar value down 30, 40%. Those are three scenarios of a perfect storm for why gold and silver are going to make the next leg up, and why Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan said he won't be surprised to see gold between 5 and 10,000. And I hear people saying, oh, you don't want to see 5,000 gold. That's terrible. Yes, but they're de-dollarizing. You can't get away from it. The world is moving away as I talk about the BRICS and the yuan settlement currency. And they're using gold to back up their local currencies so they can trust each other. Gold's going a lot higher. And I contend gold one day soon, instead of being a liability to the government saying your currencies are bad and collapsing, they're going to be net positive because this is just my opinion. I think that one day soon they're going to revalue gold here in the United States Treasury. Right now in the Treasury, gold is valued at $35 an ounce. If they just value it at the current market rate of $4,000 an ounce, that's $1 trillion they can add to the Treasury instantly in liquidity. You get gold to rise to 15,000, you put in $3-4 trillion immediately into the Treasury, backed up with gold certificates. I think there's a very high possibility Trump is going to introduce a 50-year Treasury-backed, gold-backed Treasury note for the 250th anniversary next July. You just have to listen to Dr. Judy Shelton. She was right there with Trump. She's a financial advisor, economic advisor for Trump, and she is major gold bug. So is Scott Bessent, who's at the Treasury, who might be our next Federal Reserve. This is a big deal. I have a feeling a switch is going to get flipped, and this is going to happen overnight. But all I know is we are at that point in the banking system now. We were just before COVID, and you have to take that seriously. And here's how I know we're not taking it seriously. Right here. Clients, institutional hedge fund clients, net sellers, while retail, we the people, net buyers. Look at the retail, look at the bottom, institutional, the blue, sellers, hedge funds, sellers, retail, buyers. The only one who is buying are the retail people. This chart does not lie. They are selling into you. And with this information on the crisis hitting our banking system, if you understood this is exactly what happened before COVID, and they masked the collapse by printing trillions in stimulus because supposedly a pandemic was here, and they were able to hide it. What are they going to do to hide it this time? I don't know, but we're at the end. So at the end of all of this, here's the bottom line. They have to print trillions of dollars. Trump wants these interest rates down to 1%. He wants to lower the dollar 40%. And all three of those are absolute perfect storms for higher gold and silver prices. Why I'd be giving Cornerstone Asset Metals a call. Stay in the loop, subscribe to this podcast, and share it. This information isn't hype. This is raw data showing you so you and we, the people, can be prepared. So until next time, God bless you.
With all of the recent changes in the political and financial markets, there has never been a better time than right now to invest in silver and gold. When governments simply print billions of dollars in paper money in hopes of solving financial shortfalls, you know that it is time to buy and hold assets of true and lasting value. Free information is available to you right now by calling 888-747-3309. Whether you are a new investor or you're interested in preserving the value of your retirement accounts, we make it easy for you to make smart decisions for your financial future. The specialists at Cornerstone are here to serve you, work to satisfy your retirement goals, and communicate with respect. Call us right now at 888-747-3309. That's 888-747-3309. Or visit us online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. That's cornerstoneassetmetals.com.